Ramirez?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead and put him forward. Right. Marufo, whenever you're ready to call the case.
Let me set up the interpreting function, Judge.
Okay,
And just as a reminder, Your Honor, good afternoon. If everybody can get on the English channel except for the annex, they need to get on the Spanish channel.
okay, so remind me where I go. Okay, interpretation, and I pick English. Yes, okay, can you hear me? Is this working? Okay,
Sí. Okay.
okay, perfect. Marufo, go ahead and call the case.
Yes, Judge. In cause number 2022 0D00922, State of Texas versus Francisco de Jesus Ramos Ramirez. Announcement of council, please.
Well, King for the state of Texas.
And Myrna Pages for Mr. Francisco Ramos Ramirez, ready, Your Honor.
All right. I show that we are here for a bond hearing. So I'm going to assume that is a defense motion. So Ms. Pajes, if you want to go ahead and start off.
Yes, Judge, thank you so much. Your Honor, so my client, Mr. Ramos, is 38 years old. He has been in custody for about 139 days already. Prior to being arrested, he was working in construction, doing cement and flooring. I don't believe he has a prior criminal history, to my knowledge, Judge. I am asking for a PR bond on this case, Your Honor. We have been waiting for a lab report for quite some time and we still don't have it. The reason for the arrest was a suspected DWI, which has been declined, Judge. His BAC was at a 0.016 at the time. And so he only has this pending. This is what's keeping him in jail, and I can't resolve the case without the lab report. And so we are asking for a PR bond, Judge, on this one.
All right, I understand. Ms. King, go ahead and tell me your position.
Yes, Your Honor, the state will not oppose the PR bond. That is correct. Mr. Ramos does not have any criminal history. And we are still waiting on the lab report to come back. I did check again for the third time, July 5th, and I received a response on the 6th that we still don't have the labs.
All right. Okay, well, then I'm going to go ahead and grant this as a PR bond because it is not fair at this point, I believe, for Mr. Ramos to continue to stay in jail for the lab report. Let me make sure, is he a flight risk before I finalize the actual terms and conditions?
Go ahead, Ms. Pages.
Ms. Pages, go ahead and go first.
Judge, so he does have an ICE hold, so it is my belief that he will be transported over to the detention center and be over there while that is pending. So
Are we going to lose Mr. Ramos Ramirez?
I don't believe so, Judge. He was residing here in the US. He does have immigration issues. He does have friends. He was employed full-time prior to being arrested.
Right.
And he does.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Ms.
Yes,
Pages.
Judge, and he does intend to resolve this case, Judge. He's been trying to resolve it. We've been trying to resolve it, but for this lab report that we have been waiting for.
Right. Ms. King, are you aware that you're not, by you not opposing the PR bond, that he's going to be taken into the ICE custody in all probability, and you're going to have to deal with whether or not he's released from there?
Your Honor, I actually just found out about this information, but I mean, at this point,
You're not able to go forward.
yes, that is correct.
All right. All right. What is the current bond set at right now?
I believe, Judge, it's at 1,500 cash surety.
Yes, Judge, that's correct.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and go to a 3,000 PR bond. No use of alcohol or controlled substances. Reporting to the PR bond officer, as well as any random tests that they will want to do, any random UABA tests that they will want to do. All right,
Yes, Your Honor.
all right. Any other conditions that I need to address right now on that, Ms. King?
I know, Your Honor.
All right, so. All right, go ahead and get the paperwork. I will go after my Zoom session and go sign all paperwork in Judge Perez's office. All right. Does this conclude this matter, Ms. Pages?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck, Mr. Ramos Ramirez. Keep in touch with your attorney, okay?
Gracias.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, Mr. Portugal, I believe that concludes this matter for you. If thank you so much for your services.
Thank you, Your Honor. You have a good day.
You too. Ms. Pages, do you have anything further with this court?
Judge, I do have a probation case, Mr. Romero. I don't know if the court wishes to hear that yet. I did file a motion to set bond for him as well.
Okay. Mr. Marufo, can I go ahead and you go ahead and call those two cases then?
Yes,
Ms. Carla, you ready?
And it's for Zoilo Romero. I think there's two Romeros on the docket. So I have Zoilo Romero.
Okay,
yes, ma'am.
okay, so
In
is
cause
he
number-
connected to Carlos Romero?
I'm not sure who that is.
Okay, that's the other Romero that we have today.
Oh, no, he's not.
Okay,
I don't believe so, Judge.
all right.
Annex, may we have Gilberto Romero? Folio, Gilberto Romero.
1021.
Judge, this is Russell Abood. Am I still, I hope I didn't come in too late.
No, we have several set at 3 o'clock, Mr. Aboud.
Okay,
I had an interpreter used him with public defender. I know that I should have gone to private, but we're gonna take care of Ms. Pages real fast and then we'll come back.
okay, no problem, no problem.
Thank you, Mr. Aboud. All right,
Thank you.
Mr. Marufo, go ahead and call this case.
In cause number 2020-0D02007, State of Texas versus Solio Gilberto Romero. Announcement of council, please.
Barbara King for the state of Texas.
And Ms. Myrna Pages for Zoilo Romero, ready, Your Honor.
All right, I'm showing that this is a probation status hearing. I'm showing that Ms. Carla Pineda is here also. So let me go ahead and this is a probation status hearing. Go ahead and tell me, Ms. Pineda, where are we at?
Your Honor, Mr. Romero is in custody on a bench warrant.
Mhm.
Yes, he's in custody on a bench warrant as of June 23rd, more or less,
Mhm.
of this year. This bench warrant was issued due to Mr. Romero not appearing upon the court back on March. I was trying to find the date, Judge, March 24th.
Mhm.
There was a probation status hearing as well. The probation officer at the time had scheduled it to address non-compliance issues that was ongoing with Mr. Romero. He didn't show up, appear to court, and that's when the bench warrant was issued. Just really quick, Judge, Mr. Romero was given 5 years deferred for the fraud, use, possession, identifying info, number of items 5 less than 10.
Mhm.
He
When did he
had-
plead?
He pled, Judge, back on January 12th, 2021, and he failed to report for April 2021. Thereafter, he reported a couple of months. He was referred to EHN. I'm sorry, not EHN. He was referred to Rio Vista, a mental health center. This was ongoing through May, June of 2021. July 2021, it was noted he was referred and admitted to Recovery Alliance and reporting to probation. And then we approached November, December 2021, he didn't report. And then that's when I believe there was still non-compliance. He hasn't registered for theft class. He hadn't been doing much. So that's when I believe probation informed the court and the hearing was to be set. And here we are, Judge.
All right, so he's been on probation for approximately a year and a half, and he's been hit or miss in that year and a half. Is that what I'm seeing?
Correct, Judge.
All right, Ms. Pajes, what are you asking for at this point?
Judge, so I did file a motion to set bond, I believe June 28th. So we are asking that the court set a bond since he is on deferred. My client has been in custody about 15 days. I did have my social worker meet with him and he has been screened and he qualifies for the reentry program. Let me look at my notes really quick, Judge. There's a number of issues going on, Judge, with Mr. Romero. He does have a significant mental health issues. His diagnosis is schizoaffective and bipolar. Also, he has major depressive disorder. He does take medication, Judge, as per the jail. He is on Librium as well as Wellbutrin. He also suffers from anxiety, Your Honor. We did screen him for reentry. He does qualify.
When you're referring to reentry, what are you referring to? I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
Well, services through them, Judge. So they're gonna make it possible for him to reside at the rescue mission and also to continue with mental health services. And
so reentry is a specialized unit within the probation department. Is that what I'm understanding?
No, it's my understanding, Judge, is that it's within the actual jail itself. And so they screen you and they help you kind of direct you back to where you should be.
Okay.
And so he is supposed to be following up with EHN and Takumi to address any mental health concerns. He was also referred to Punto de Partida, Judge, for substance abuse concerns, and he's supposed to report to them. He has been seeing a sobriety coach there at the jail. Not for long, obviously, because it's 15 days, but he indicated that he wants to continue with that service. So, and he would like to continue on probation, Judge. He knows the importance of reporting. I think that's what it boils down to, I guess, a couple of months here and there. But this is from 2021. And so he knows that he has to be reporting. So he's asking, first of all, for a bond, Judge, and then the opportunity to continue on probation.
All right. Ms. King, go ahead and give me your position.
Your Honor, the state opposes for a bond due to the criminal history. He does have an extensive criminal history, around 21 pages, and it started when juvenile. We have just theft of property, we have possessions, we have criminal trespass, failed to ID, evading, broker of a habitation, which he did serve probation on. However, for 7 years on that count, and I believe he was revoked from that probation. So it just seems that he's not very probation eligible. And also, let's see, he did pick up a new case. I'm trying to, I believe it was June 23rd.
When he got picked up,
I believe so, yes.
what was the new charge?
1 second. And I have also requested from the CSO to submit a violation notice.
Mhm.
I apologize. It was the bench warrant on this case. I apologize.
Okay, so no new case.
Correct. Not that I
Okay.
see so far. I mean, he does have a tendency to not report. He hasn't registered, as Ms. Carla was stating, for the probation. So that's.
All right. I obviously do need to set a number, Ms. Pages, because are you telling me that he is currently at a zero bond?
Right, he's at a no bond, right,
Okay.
Judge? He was picked up on the court's warrant.
All right, I am going to set a bond, but I'm not setting a bond that's incredibly low because I don't appreciate Mr. Romero not appearing There's not a reason not to appear. Appearing doesn't cost anything. Appearing doesn't put you in jail. Mr. Romero seems to want to speak. I don't know if you want to direct something to him, Ms. Pages, to tell him not to.
Mr. Romero, I will contact you, okay? So that we can address this again.
So I'm gonna go ahead and set the bond at 30,000, okay?
Okay,
It's
thank you,
cash.
Your Honor.
And you know what, let me add, okay, so it's gonna be 30,000 cash surety, and let me put a 3,000 PR bond so that he will report there. No, random UAs, BAs, no controlled substances. Go ahead and put it under the intensive, treatment. All right,
Okay, thank you so much, Judge. I appreciate it.
Your Honor,
yes,
may I get to address Mr. Romero?
go ahead.
Mr. Romero, in the event you do bond out or you meet your bond, I need you to contact your officer, Ms. Brisa Martinez. You know who that is, correct? Okay, make sure to contact her and report. Thank you, Judge.
My apologies for the delay. I had the clerk come in for a moment. Let's go ahead and take care. Ms. Pages, does that take care of everything you had?
That does, Judge.
All right, if you are done, you are free to go. And
Thank
then
you so much.
let us go to Mr. Aboud, since he was, I believe, one of the first here. Who do you have, Mr. Aboud?
I have Andres Coral and a Sergio Barraza, they're co-defendants.
Oh, you're representing co-defendants?
Correct, Judge. They're brothers too.
Okay. All right, who do you want to call first?
I'd rather call the same time. It's
Okay,
up to you, Judge. I just want to hurry it up for you, but
okay, that's fine. Go ahead and call them both, Mr. Marujo.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Barraza is on page 9, Judge, and Mr. Corral is on page 11. And cause number 2022-0D01960, State of Texas versus Sergio Almanzar Barraza. And in cause number 2022-0D01961, State of Texas versus Andres Corral. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rogg on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
Russell Aboud on behalf of both defendants. Excuse me, we're ready.
All right, let me go ahead and tell you that on Barraza, I'm showing Luis Yanez as the attorney.
Well, I filed a motion to substitute.
Let me check to see if we've gotten that on Barraza. Give me 1 second. Give me a second. And I'm hearing Spanish. Are we needing the interpreter?
It's a toss up.
Okay. All right. I'm not seeing a motion to substitute.
Judge,
Go ahead.
the motion has been submitted, but it has not been granted.
Okay, let me look.
And
for
this
that.
was in June 10th.
All right, I'm showing that it got entered on June 13th, 2022. Give me a second. As retained. Russell Aboud, signed off by Luis Yanez. Okay, all right. Ms. Hernandez, if you'll go ahead and print out that order and I'll go ahead and sign it when I go down there.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, so it is your motion, Mr. Abud. Let's go ahead and hear from you first.
We have two US citizens, Your Honor. They were involved in an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and neither one of them were the shooters. There was a third person involved. I don't know what happened to him, or he took off. There was a gun that was thrown down, but that's not the gun. The gun the police recovered wasn't the one that was used. I'm sure after they go through the tests on the bullets and the gun, they'll realize that. They've both been lifelong residents of El Paso. Mr. Corral owns his own painting company. And he lives with his wife on well, I don't have the address here. I don't have the address, Judge, but they both have been lifelong residents. Mr. Corral has 2 prior felony convictions, so
Okay.
not for violent ones, but one was for drugs and the other for importing weapons.
What are their bonds currently set at, Mr. Abud?
150,000 each. And it was a bar fight, I think, and they weren't the ones with the weapon.
All right, let
Somebody-
me go. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know how serious the injuries were. There was no deaths involved. But I think the major culprit was the defendant who took off, allegedly threw his gun down.
All right. Let me go ahead and hear from Ms. Rago. Ms. Rago, go ahead.
Your Honor, the state respectfully opposes a PR bond or a reduction of bond. 2 individuals were shot in the abdomen. 1 individual was placed in ICU. One of the victims ID'd the defendant. He said he was not 100% sure, but his face pops up in his mind like he knew him. Mr. Corral does have some criminal history. This was 2015 for concealing goods of illegal transport. In addition, a felon in possession of ammunition. He was sentenced to 51 months and then had to report for 3 years, and that was in 2016, in addition to the smuggling case that ran concurrent.
All right. Where are your victims now, Ms. Rago? Are they still in the hospital? Are they been released?
I believe they were released. I had contact with the victim advocates had contact with them yesterday, and they wanted to proceed with charges.
Okay. All right. Mr. Abud, with 2 victims being shot, I'm not inclined to reduce the bond. I thought maybe this had been no contact and just a shooting in the direction of, but these individuals did receive physical injuries from the weapon. I think you all will have to discuss the case with Ms. Rago, figure out who did what and if there is a third party responsible. But I think for right now, the bond is appropriate, considering that we had 2 individuals that were shot.
Okay, Judge, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, Mr. Marufo, who's next?
Page 10, Judge. Annex, may we have Cristobal Carrillo?
Yes.
Mr. Marufo, whenever you're ready, go ahead and call the case.
In cause number 2021-0D01748, State of Texas versus Cristobal Carrillo. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rogg on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
Enrique Lopez on behalf of defendant Cristobal Carrillo. We're ready, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Lopez, this is your motion. Go ahead and start.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I proffer testimony?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I should have labeled my motion, defendant's second motion to reduce bond.
Mhm.
Apparently I took over this case. There had been a previous attempt almost a year ago. And what I wanted to inform the court is that Mr. Carrillo has been in custody for a year and a month already. And we believe he has meritorious defenses in this case. It does help tremendously if I can visit with my client in my office instead of tracking all the way to the annex every time I need to discuss something. So in order to prepare a defense, Mr. Carrillo would be, it would greatly help if he's outside so that he can assist me in his defense. Mr. Carrillo was not born in El Paso. However, he has grown up in El Paso. He attended schools, elementary schools in El Paso. He attended El Paso High. Unfortunately, he did not graduate. Mr. Carrillo has a clean criminal history. At the time of the arrest, he had been working essentially warehouse type jobs with staffing agencies. He has family in the greater El Paso area. He has a great uncle that lives here in El Paso. He has a sister-in-law that works that lives in Chaparral, New Mexico. Just it's the outskirts of El Paso County. And his mother currently is in Florida, but is planning on returning to El Paso, Texas, as soon as possible. Your Honor, like I said, we believe that he does have meritorious defenses. It would greatly appreciate in the preparation of his defense, and that's coming up sometime in November, if he can be of some assistance and if I can do the consultations and the preparation through my office instead of the jail annex, which is difficult to track down. He's not a flight risk. He has ties to the community, as I mentioned. He has a clean record, and there's no indication that he is going to abscond. For those reasons, Your Honor, we believe, as far as monies are concerned, the bond is, we believe, at $75,000. That's extremely high. I've spoken with family members, and really nobody and himself does not have any properties to sell and no accounts to reach into. So financially, he's not able to meet the bond, and the family has not been able to meet the bonds since his arrest from over a year ago. So we're respectfully requesting a reduction on the bond.
All right. Let me hear from Ms. Rago. Go ahead, Ms. Rago.
Your Honor, the state respectfully opposes a reduction. The state's concerned just based on the nature and the circumstances of the offense. The indictment, it goes on for about a year of these incidents. In addition, we're concerned about the complaining witness and the safety for her if the defendant is released, Your Honor.
All right. I need to know a little bit more. Who's my victim? Not by name, but give me an idea.
An 11-year-old.
Related by blood, not related by blood?
Let me double check that. I believe not related by blood, but mom is currently with him.
Is mom still with him?
That was at the beginning of this case, a note from our victim advocate, Your Honor.
Okay.
7/16/2021.
Okay.
Your Honor, if I can assist the court a little bit further.
Go ahead.
It was the mother, the alleged victim, who had contacted family members to contact my office. And my understanding that maybe from the prior attorney that she might have signed an affidavit of non-prosecution for what it's worth. But So if he's released, he will not obviously go back to that same household. We do have a place here in El Paso with his great uncle, if he is released, where he's going to be residing.
Okay. This is my concern, Mr. Lopez. I was waiting to hear through your case, and I was waiting to hear what the bond amount was. So when you
75,000.
told me 75,000, it was actually already lower than what I thought it was going to be. If that makes sense. I just had the gentleman right before with the shooting of 2 adult victims at 150. And this is an alleged 11-year-old as the victim. And the other thing is, these are the type of offenses that are the few that are allowed within the penal code and the code of criminal procedure to be run, not just concurrently, but the state can file their motion to run them consecutively. And it is because that the state can make that decision about whether or not they want to run it consecutively. And thus you're looking at 3 first degrees and what I'm showing as 4 second degrees. I'm not inclined to lower what is already what I believed was a low bond. I appreciate your hard work and your tenacious advocacy for your client. I do understand that he's at 1 year and a month. But I'm also showing your trial is roughly around the corner. I will tell the state that they need to be ready. Because by the time that trial comes around, it will be 2 years. And so they need to be ready and make sure that they've got their necessary witnesses. Okay. Mr. Lopez, I respectfully am declining your motion to reduce bond. I did not think you were going to be under 100 based on the offenses. So that was the surprise there for me. All right.
I understand, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Lopez. Mr. Carrillo, keep in touch with your attorney and he will be ready for trial in November. And Ms. Rago, I'm letting you know to be ready, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right. Mr. Lopez, anything further?
Nothing further from us, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Marufo, who's next?
Page 11, bottom of page 11, Judge. Annex, may we have Omar Marquez?
Yes, sir.
I have Miss Rago frozen, right?
I thought Ms. Rago did freeze. It kind of looked, but I could still hear her. Ms. Rago, are you frozen?
I think she is, Judge.
I think she is too. I think somebody needs to text her.
Yes, ma'am. I sent her a message that she was frozen.
Okay.
So hopefully we can get it fixed.
She doesn't need to be present for this next hearing. We can call it without her. I believe it's going to be Ms. King handling it anyway. Correct, Ms. King?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So Mr. Marufo, go ahead and call the case when you're ready.
In cause number 2020-0D05163 and 2022-0D00328, State of Texas versus Omar Marquez. Announcement of council, please.
Well, King for the state of Texas.
Chair Vrago, on behalf of Mr. Marcus, Your Honor, we're ready.
All right. Mr. Rago, do you see your client on the camera?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Omar Marcus, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. A little bit loud, okay, so I can hear you. It's kind of hard through the mask, okay? All right. Would you please, for the record, state your name, date of birth, and whether or not you are a U.S. citizen?
Marcus 1393, U.S. citizen.
All right. Mr. Marcus, you are currently charged with a 3rd degree. I'm sorry. You are on probation for a 2nd degree sexual assault, and are charged with a third-degree injury to a child, elderly, disabled. The third degree has a range of punishment anywhere from 2 to 10 years and a fine not to exceed $10,000. And the sexual assault has a range from 2 to 20 years and a fine not to exceed $10,000. Are you aware of those charges?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You understand that you have a right to remain silent, a right to trial by jury, a right to counsel, and a right to confront or cross-examine witnesses, and a right to call witnesses on your behalf or in your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Mr. Rago, have you had more than 10 days to prepare for the defense in this case?
We have, Your Honor.
All right. I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 1, which are the plea papers. Is this your signature on the papers?
Yes, Judge.
All right. And did you read and understand the plea papers?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Rago, did you explain the plea papers to your client, and do you believe he has understood the admonishments, the rights, and the consequences of giving up these rights by entering
Yes, Your
into a plea in this case?
I apologize, Your Honor. Yes.
All right. Mr. Marcus, are you satisfied with your attorney's representation of you in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Mr. Rago, do you have any reason to believe your client is not presently competent to enter into this plea?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Marcus, have you ever been found incompetent by a court or been examined by a doctor or psychiatrist who has found you to be mentally ill?
No, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Marcus, based on your testimony and your attorney's representation and my observation, the court finds that you are competent to enter your plea. You have stated that you are a U.S. citizen. And while I believe you, I want you to understand that if you are not a U.S. citizen for any reason, a plea of guilty and a finding of guilt may result in deportation, the exclusion from admission to this country, or the denial of naturalization. Do you understand that?
Yes, Judge.
All right. I need to go off the record for 1 second. The plea papers that I have are showing a 7 TDC rec. But then I'm getting other paperwork that talks about community supervision and a motion for deferred. Can I get some clarification before we go back on the record?
Your Honor, I believe those are just part of the packet, but whatever doesn't apply, usually the court just takes it out.
Takes it, okay, all right, that's what I was trying to figure out, why I was seeing these other paperworks, okay. So the rec
That's
is
correct,
7
Your Honor.
TDC, so the rec is 7 TDC before we proceed back on the record?
That is
Yes, Your
correct.
Honor.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. All right, going back on the record. To the charge against you, Mr. Marcus, what is your plea?
Is that to both the sexual assault and the family?
Right now, we're only doing the plea on the injury to the child. I'll do the revo in just a few minutes.
Guilty.
So the plea as to the injury to the child, elderly, disabled, with intent to commit bodily injury. How do you plead?
That's guilty.
All right. And are you making this plea freely and voluntarily?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. King, go ahead and summarize the evidence, please.
Yes, Your Honor, were the state to proceed to trial on the indictment, the state would have proven each and every element of the offense charged with injury to a child, elderly, or disabled with an intentional bodily injury in cause number 2022-0T00328 beyond a reasonable doubt. Your Honor, the defendant is pleading to 7 years of confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Correctional Institution Division to run concurrent with cause number 2020-0D05163. And the state will dismiss cause number 2022-0C00549. And at this time, the state moves to admit Exhibit 1 is the state's plea paperwork, Exhibit 2, Article 3914 disclosure, and Exhibit 3 is the indictment.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. And no objection. So all the exhibits that you have stated have been admitted. Ms. King, is there a plea agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, it's 7 years of TDC.
All right. And Mr. Rago, did you have a chance to review portal and all documents tendered to you?
I have, Your
All right. Mr. Marcus, is this your understanding of the plea agreement in this case?
Yes, Judge.
All right. And you understand that this plea agreement is not binding on the court. And should I reject it, I would permit you to withdraw your plea of guilty. But if we follow the plea agreement, then you may not appeal this case except on matters raised by written motion and ruled on before trial or by permission of the court. These are the appeal rights that are explained to you in the trial court's certification of your right to appeal. One that original was signed by you. The original was signed by you. Sorry. I know it's hard to see. There it is. All right. And it will be signed by me and a copy will be given to you. All right.
Yes, Judge.
Based on your plea of guilty and the evidence introduced, I will accept your plea and at this time find that the evidence substantiates your guilt. Prior to sentencing, I'm going to go ahead and go on into the revo, which is cause number 2020-0D05163. Are you the same defendant who entered into a plea in this cause number back in let's see. Are you the same individual who pled guilty in that cause number?
Yes, is that which
The
case?
sexual assault. Did you plead true back in prior to 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you read the motion to adjudicate guilt? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm showing has your signature. Is this your signature?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Rago, going by your testimony that he is competent to proceed, I'm going to find that he is competent to plea on the motion to adjudicate. Okay,
Yes, sure.
all right. And he read all of the documents and he's waiving them?
Yes, sure.
All right. So to the motion to revoke, how do you plea?
Guilty?
True or not true?
True.
True. All right. And you stipulate that you did the actions that on the stipulation back of December 29, 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
You state that those paragraphs are true, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Give me just 1 second. Let me. All right. All right. With that being said, with the plea of true on the revo and the plea of guilty on the injury to a child elderly, I am going to go ahead and find you guilty of the said 2 offenses and assess your punishment at 7 years in the Texas Department of Corrections Institutional Division, where you will be serving the 7 years and you will be receiving credit for any time that you may already have. There is no fine. There will be a dismissal of a misdemeanor cause number. And these 2 cases will run concurrent. Your sentence will commence this day and you will be given credit for any time, as I stated before. Is there a victim impact panel statement, Ms. King?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Is there anything else from the state?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
All right. Anything further from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Have I covered everything for both parties?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Marcus, the clerk will go ahead and fingerprint you in just a little bit, and then at some point they will transfer you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you, and may you never be back in the courtroom again, okay?
Thank you.
All right, good luck. Take care.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Marufo, who's next? Oh, you know what? Actually, give me a second so I can finish the paperwork. Just 1
Yes, Judge.
second.
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. All right, thank you for your patience on that. Mr. Marufo, who's next?
Bottom of page 14, Judge.
Okay,
Annex, may we have Cassandra Torres?
go ahead and call the case when you're ready, Mr. Marufo.
In cause number 2022-0D01584, State of Texas versus Cassandra Torres. Announcement of council, please.
Public hearing for the state of Texas.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Anthony Gonzalez on behalf of Ms. Torres.
All right, Mr. Gonzalez, I'm assuming it is your motion, so I'll let you proceed first.
Judge, let me tell you, actually, until recently, I think until the end of March, the Public Defender's Office was representing Ms. Torres, not only on this case, but on another case that's in the same court, in your court, or in this court. And when I received the appointment, because it's an appointed case, I was appointed to those two cases, and a bond hearing was set by the court for today. And I just noticed that there's only one of the cases that's actually set before the court, and I was wondering if the court wouldn't mind hearing the second case at the same time. It's a bond request for a bond reduction. This case is a violation of protective order. The other case is 2022-0D01861. It is an impeding by choking a breath. That one has a $10,000 bond. This one has a $2,500 bond. I think it would just make sense for me to do them both. The reason that the public defender had to give up the case is because the complaining witness in these two cases is being represented by the public defender's office. Would that be okay, Judge?
Okay, let me ask Ms. King if she has any objection to it, because it is her that would have needed to have more notice than
Sure.
I.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Ms. King, are you aware that there were two cases, and would you be willing to waive your notice on that other case?
Yes, Your Honor, I was aware and I'm willing to waive it on the
Thank
other.
you.
Okay, so we've got 10,000 on the 1861,
Yes, ma'am.
and then 2,500 on the 1584.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, so we'll go ahead and hear both of them.
Thank you, Judge.
Go ahead, and then, like I said, it's.
Sure, sure.
Go ahead.
So I just recently got a chance to visit with Cassandra, found out that she is a United States citizen who was born in Los Angeles, California. She evidently has family that resides here in El Paso, so she has roots in El Paso. She also informed me that she, first of all, the complaining witness that I just talked about, that's being represented by the Public Defender's Office, is her wife. They've been married. She has her own business. It's a landscaping business. She does have a criminal history, including one trip to the pen, I think. She's been now in jail since March 30th. From speaking to her, Judge, it appears that there's no one that can actually come up with any money for her. So these bonds are not excessive in the sense that most people could maybe make a $10,000 and $2,500. She has no money whatsoever. Since she's been in jail, obviously she's not been working. She does have a friend by the name of Lizette Fernandez, who lives at 5001 North Copia Street, apartment number 4. with whom she could live, or who she could live with, assuming the judge were to grant a bond. Now, a bond reduction, what I'm going to be asking for, obviously, Judge, is a PR bond because, as I said, she has no money. The interesting thing is, I got a call this morning from the complaining witness who called me out of the blue, and she said, I'd like to visit with you. I let her come to my office today. She said she wanted to sign 2 non-prosecution affidavits when she got here. In all honesty, she changed her mind and walked out. And just a few minutes ago, I noticed I got a text from her asking me to let her on this meet and give her the ID number for this meeting. I just noticed that I did not do that. So evidently there may be some doubts in her mind about whether she wants to move forward in this case, but she did not sign the non-prosecution affidavits that she called me to come to sign. Anyway, I've also found out that my client does suffer from PTSD. She was molested as a child, Your Honor, and she was in foster care from 9 years of age to 18 years of age. She's on medication right now, Abilify, Cymbalta, and 2 other medications. As I said before, Judge, she has absolutely no money. Would the court be willing to consider PR bond?
Okay, let me ask you something. A
Yes,
couple of
ma'am.
questions before I let Ms. King give me her position. My first question is the violation of the bond and protective order, was that the same day as the impeding breath?
It
And
was
they were just
not. It was not, Judge. The impeding was, give me a second, 24 March 2022. The violation protective orders is August 5th, 2021.
One. Okay, so well, on bond for one, she picked up the other then, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. In addition to
All right.
that, she also has an evading arrest, which I've been appointed to represent her on. She's got a $500 bond on that. And Ms.
All right.
King will tell you that I think there's something else pending.
Okay, Ms. King, go ahead, give me your position, please.
Yes, Your Honor. The state will respectfully opposes the bond reduction. We did have a bond reduction or a bond hearing back in June 7th. And so, Your Honor, the defendant does have an extensive criminal history. It started in 2003 for a family assault violence, 2008 burglary of a habitation conviction, 2008 theft of property conviction, again in 2008 burglary of a vehicle conviction. Again, in 2008 is theft of property. 2009 is the theft of property with 2 or more conviction, previous conviction. 2010 is the theft of property. 2013 theft of property conviction. 2014 we do have an assault causes bodily injury. I believe that was a conviction as well. 2016 we have assault, family violence. We have 2017 harassment of a public servant. 2017, again, theft of property with 2 or more previous convictions. 2018, we have fraud, use, or possession. And then we have a 2020 possession PG1, less than 1 gram conviction. She does have a prior pen trip. I apologize, my camera turned off. I did notice that the complaining witness is the wife to the defendant. She has indicated, I believe when the case was first indicted and appeared in front of JMAC, that the defendant does suffer from mental health issues. And Your Honor, there is a pending evading misdemeanor, but due to the extensive criminal history and the complaining witness is in the impeding and the violation of protective order, the state respectfully opposes the bond reduction.
Okay, Ms. King, I do understand your opposition. I do, but I do also believe Mr. Gonzalez is an officer of the court and he's saying your CW appeared. I know she didn't sign, but I think she's wavering on you. I'm not comfortable, Mr. Gonzalez, going with a full PR or actually even adding a PR component at this point, but I will reduce the actual cash surety amount. Okay. Ms. King, your objection obviously will be noted for the record, but I do believe you may not have the case that you thought you had to begin with, Ms. King. So I believe on setting wise, you're looking at your next setting is going to be a judges conference, August 4th. So you all have time to talk. So I'm going to reduce it, the cash surety amounts on both cases exactly by half. So it's going to go to $1,250 on the violation of the bond protective order and $5,000 on the impeding breath. Again, this is based on the my believing of Mr. Gonzalez that she was there. She's going back and forth. She needs to make a decision, and hopefully you will talk to her before August 4th, 2022, Ms. King. All right, Mr.
Judge,
Gonzalez, I know I did not give you exactly what you wanted. But if the CW is changing her mind, maybe she'll find a way to come up with the money to get her out.
Judge, may I just clarify something? Yes, thank you very much. On the 10,000, you're reducing it to what, Judge?
5,000.
5,000, okay. And half on the 2,500. Thank you, Judge.
Yes.
Maybe
Good luck, Ms. King. Good luck, Mr. Gonzalez. May you all both able to resolve this case.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, take care.
Take care, Judge.
Mr. Marufo, who's next?
Staying on top of page 14, Judge. Annex, may we have Carlos Romero?
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Marufo.
In cause number 2022-0D02077, State of Texas versus Carlos Fernando Romero. Announcement of council, please.
Well, King for the state of Texas.
Brent Stevens for Mr. Romero.
Good afternoon, Mr. Stevens. How are you?
I'm doing well, Judge. How are you?
Good. You had your camera off. I hadn't seen you. So, all right. Mr. Stevens, I believe it is going to be your motion. So go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Judge. Your Honor, Mr. Romero is being held on two bonds here. One is a robbery charge. It's a $36,000 cash or surety. And there's an aggravated assault charge, which is $250,000. Mr. Romero also has a parole in Arizona. That's apparently an armed robbery, which is non-dangerous classification. That's what I'm being told. I do not have paperwork on that, but I did call the parole office in El Paso. They notified Arizona about these cases, and as far as they know, there are no warrants coming from Arizona. If there is a warrant from Arizona, I don't know about it. I haven't been able to confirm one, but as far as the parole office here is concerned, he doesn't have one. So we're asking for a bond reduction. My client is 51. He's born in California. He's a U.S. citizen, but he's been in El Paso since just this year. If he's released, he'll need to go to a homeless shelter to begin with. He does construction and remodeling. He has a GED, one son and two daughters. He also has mental health issues, which we will be requesting treatment through Takumi if released.
Right. Mr. Stevens, I'm not seeing an aggravated assault.
That one is, let me get the cause number for you, Judge.
So is it not listed here today for, is it not?
It should be.
Okay, all I'm showing on the docket for Carlos Romero is 2022-0D02077.
This one is 2354.
Okay, I didn't have it. It's not on the docket, so it's hard for me to pull that up on Odyssey Navigator.
Judge, if I may, Judge, it's newly indicted, so it's not on the docket, but I am showing it here.
Okay, when did it get indicted?
7/6.
Has he even been arraigned on it?
No, Judge.
No, not yet, Judge. I
Okay.
have actually have his arraignment paperwork with me. So.
You know what, Mr. Stevens, I really do feel like Judge Perez needs to be able to put them together, arraign him at the same time, and then hear the bond reduction. At this point, I'm going to be hearing a bond on a case that she hasn't even And then when you're telling me you're at 250,000 bond for that, let me ask Ms. King. Ms. King, are you even ready with the facts on that 2354, 2022, 2354?
No, Your Honor, it's only been, today's the 6th day for that.
From that,
case.
from that day, yeah. You know what, Mr. Stevens, rather than continuing to cover 2077, I think let's go ahead and set both of these. Ms. Hernandez, are you able to set them next week?
Judge, I'll tell you what, let me just reset it with the court at a later date. I'll take care of that.
Okay, so let's put them together. Yeah, because you hit me from the blue with when you talked about the ag assault. It took me a while. I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And then for me to be ruling when Judge Perez has not even arraigned him, let me turn this back over to her.
Judge, it's not available next week.
Okay, but
Judge,
he
that's fine. In the coming weeks, as we get start working on these cases, I'll ask for another bond hearing in the future.
okay, and nothing that occurred here hurts your client in any way, Mr. Stevens. So let me assure Mr. Romero that there's no penalty for coming before me and me resetting it. Okay. All right, Mr. Romero, are you understanding everything that's being said?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reset you to go before Judge Perez. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Good luck, Mr. Romero.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Stevens.
All right, thank you, Judge. Take
yeah,
care.
Yeah, that threw me off. All right.
I understand. You know what? I didn't even realize it wasn't on the docket, but it's not that big of a deal. I'll work on it further in the future, okay?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Stevens, and thank you for your patience. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Judge.